Hello, my name is Vinita Agrawal, and Bare Bones Publishing has invited me to talk about a place based on a book that I've read. I'd like to talk about Stephen Alter's Wild Himalaya, my absolute favorite book in nonfiction, and I am more partial to nonfiction these days rather than fiction. So, in the Wild Himalaya, Stephen Alter talks about not just the majestic charm of the Himalayas as a mountain range, but also the wonderful culture of the people who inhabit that whole terrain. And I've been to the Himalayas myself, and I have seen in person how simply people live there. They have a practical way of living, most suited for the difficult terrain and the hardships of the climate and the hard winters that occur there. And those people are really wonderful to talk to, and so simple and so loving. But one thing that stood out for me in this book, and I'd like to read a small excerpt from a review I wrote of the Wild Himalaya. One particularly intriguing individual featured in Wild Himalaya is Nain Singh Rawat, a local explorer who was instrumental in mapping the Himalayas in the 19th century. Alter writes, Nain Singh Rawat, who with his partner Kishan Singh Rawat, disguised as Tibetan traders and smugglers, was the first to make the journey from Kathmandu to Lhasa. Crossing the long range of mountains, glaciers and high altitude passes that separate Nepal from Tibet. Alter describes a fascinating method that Rawat uses to measure altitude on his first trip to Tibet. I won't expose what those methods were. They were extremely raw and kind of just put together with very simple equipment. For anybody who wants to read the book in the future, that might be a spoiler if I mention it now, but it's very interesting to read how they discovered the atmospheric pressure and the altitude in a new land of this place called Tibet, which was not that well known at that time. So in that context, Nain Singh Rawat, whom I find so fascinating, in that context I'd like to talk about this village called Mana in the Himalayas. It's above Badrinath, and it happens to be the last village on this side of the Indian border, after which Tibet starts, the country of Tibet starts. So Mana is a very, very beautiful place. The Saraswati roars into existence in Mana. You get a glimpse of it. The mountains are just beautiful. It's inhabited mostly by the Bhutia tribe and very skilled at knitting woolen garments and other craft there. And of course you get hot Maggi at every tea stall in Mana. And it's an unforgettable place with rivers and of course the Himalayas and absolutely green, verdant green meadows in a small way. Mostly it is very craggy mountains, but you do find a few meadows, and sometimes in caves you get to see aghoris who are doing their thing there. So Mana is a very unforgettable place for me. I've been there twice, and I wish everybody would make a trip to Mana and definitely read Stephen Alter's The Wild Himalaya. Thank you.